By the way, just. Let's call this meeting to order. Can we have a salute to the flag? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Notice requirements of the New Jersey Public Meetings Law have been satisfied by noticing the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times on January 3rd, 2025, stating that a regular meeting of the Colts Neck Township Committee would be held on April 30th, 2025, 7 p.m., Town Hall, 1 Veterans Way, Colts Neck. Copy is on file in the office of the Township Clerk. Further notice was provided to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times on April 25th, 2025, noting the meeting time change from 7 p.m. to 6:30 p.m.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Deputy Mayor Viola.
Here.
Committeeman Buzetta.
Here.
Committeewoman Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Here.
And Mayor Buss.
Here, Resolution 2025-89, executive session, potential litigation. Can I have a,
Motion to go into executive?
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay.
drop a pink pin?
Yeah.
The young fellow picked up a pink pen.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I gotta go say hello to John. Poor John.
Hey.
Did you take him any aspirin?
I need that.
oh wait,
Keep me awake.
I'm trying to keep you awake.
things are good.
I know. Much lower than it the third is,
I know that's the third. Yeah.
Nobody.
Nobody claimed it? We need it.
They shouldn't give you a call. Except I mean, you don't understand with that. I think I was going to wear that donation. I can actually, no, I put it in business. And David said she will not. I give up, I just give up. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Mine will let me. Both in the way. Excuse me, those are reserved back there. Everything's good. Everything's good.
All right. Well, what you gonna do?
They say we're outside yesterday, or the day before, and, the, fire trucks started going by behind us, and there were probably 20 of us. So we finally went down there the next day and looked and saw where the house was burned down.
It is something.
No. it's
Since
not
the
that.
barn, there was the house, on, what's the name of the? That's kind of wordy, isn't it? It's just crazy.
It's a crazy time.
Well, actually, each year gets a little worse.
It's crazy.
Each year. It's. All right. Focus on.
I'm telling you about that now. Somebody, a young girl told Melinda where this and what happened. We didn't know what happened. But the more we read about it, and there was an explosion in the, well, probably, because when we went by the next day to look, they pulled down our driveway coming out of the garage. And it was just barely in the driveway. And it was totally mom. Was it? I mean, I agree that's my thing.
Is that-
Yeah, I think things go on.
I didn't know that.
Mr. Ryan, how are you, sir? Good. Hello?
Well, Melinda's,
Mine is up.
her Prius just did 110,000 and it never blew up.
Good, you? Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
Well, I call this, oh, yes,
We'll see. Okay.
Hey, Bob. Good budget, man? Right there, Bob.
You should go by the place.
What's going on?
To see those.
Good, how you doing?
Let's see what's going on.
Hey.
Oh, good.
Getting close.
So you're not actually.
Nah.
Every year. Could be.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah, because somebody has to bring the money in instead of spending it.
Right.
All good though?
Yeah.
Good. All right, let's see.
You too.
Mr. O'Brien. Okay. If you think so. You know, my chat, the GPT is, it's an AI. I was not. Artificial intelligence functions. And you can use it for search. So it's all stuff. You know, I've had like 5 or 6 situations. All of them were exactly what I would say in the last 4 months now.
I see you. Looks like they've done professionally. That's what good for you. So then what happens? You're off the cash, not too far away. Yeah, because you'll slide the ball. Okay, nobody can run the car and drive it to the United States. I forgot the pen. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, what? Right, that's Yeah, I've been working on that. I've been promoting. Later, I think it's a few times. And I got a lot of family names on the game. Which is pretty nice. I'd like to, well, California's low. Very nice. It's a lot of that's like Utah. Utah with all the cops right there. Oh, I forget license. Yeah, you got to flew up to Vegas. Drove up that the same road as Utah. Which is just amazing. It's coming and it was so last time we went, we just got 2 weeks. My son's I know
I did. The one, you mean the one today?
I'm just curious.
I think the mayor's gonna go over it.
Yeah, last year was open. We left right in
All right, everybody, when we're ready, just remember to turn your microphones back on.
How are you? Good, good. It is beautiful. It's so beautiful here. Oh, no. Well, it's funny because, which has been pretty bad, but it's so funny because everything blooms like it's blooming so fast, and then you look and it's gone. Like I didn't get to do it. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, there they are. Do you know, is the gentleman from, I don't know.
Sorry, I just called your name.
Okay, so she's gonna do. What's the DAR one?
Hey, Tara, just do a motion to go back to
Good evening again. Can I have a motion to go back into session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have proclamation, Arbor Day in Colts Neck Township. Arbor Day in Colts Neck Township, April 25th, 2025. Now, I do notice, for those of you who are wondering, this is after the fact. Unfortunately, we are just getting to this now. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide a habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to promote the well-being of this and future generations. Now, therefore, I, Tara Torsha Bust, Mayor of Colts Neck Township, along with the entire Township Committee of Colts Neck, urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support the efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and hereby do proclaim that April 25th, 2025 is Arbor Day within Colts Neck Township. And for those of you who had the opportunity to go to our sapling giveaway this past weekend, thank you, Committeewoman Fitzpatrick, for helping organize that with our Environmental Commission. So thank you very much. I will pass that along, and you'll probably actually speak
Yes.
on that at your
Yes,
report.
thank you.
Minutes. Can we approve minutes for April 1st, 2025, our special meeting and public hearing, and April 9th, 2025, regular meeting? Any comments?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. And if it would be okay, I'd like to allow for a minute. We have a resolution on for consent agenda a little bit later. We have someone here who I would like to actually come up for a minute, who comes in from Daughters of the Revolution. If Michelle Donnelly, if I could ask you to come up and just speak for a few moments to the committee, because I know we have a long meeting here tonight, and I didn't want you to have to stay for the whole thing, but I really wanted to have you have the opportunity to explain to the committee about what DAR is and what this proclamation is about.
Okay, thank you. My name is Michelle Donnelly. I'm the regent of the Middletown chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. And we have a chapter goal that we started several years ago to celebrate the America 250 by finding the Revolutionary War veterans who are buried in our towns and make sure all their graves are marked, accessible, and their service is not forgotten. So to date, we have marked 23 graves of veterans whose stones were missing, illegible, or broken. And we started in Middletown and Homedale, kind of working our way out from there. Now we're kind of ready to focus on Colts Neck, and we'd like your permission to mark the grave of Tobias Palimas. He's buried in Palimas Burial Ground, which is owned by the township. And he was a captain in the Revolutionary War. He was captured at the Battle of Navesink, spent, I think, a couple years in prison. His stone is missing. He has still a footstone with his initials, TP, on them. And we know he's there because there was inventories done in the early 1900s where people went around and marked what they saw and copied inscriptions. It's how we can find a lot of the guys when they're missing, by using those old records that were done, sometimes over 100 years ago, and to locate these guys and then mark their graves. And, when we're done with our project, we will give back to the township and the Historical Society all our research, so you maybe have better records than maybe you have today on who's in your town. So we'd like to ask for your permission to put a marker at that property. It'll be an 8 by 16 by 3 inch flat piece of granite, so it's not a huge thing. It's a small kind of thing, but it'll have his name, his service, and it'll be there hopefully for a long time.
Excellent. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
And as someone who's had the opportunity to work with DAR in our neighboring town, what you guys are doing is wonderful, bringing the history to light in the public and supporting people that have served. So I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you talking on it. Did anyone have any questions?
I was just wondering, when would you be placing the plaque?
Well, we need first A permission letter
approval,
from
yeah.
you guys. Our
Mhm.
National Society wants to make sure we're not like rogue and crazy and that we have permission from property owners. Then it can be up to a 6-month approval cycle. He's already a proven DAR patriot, but you know, they get a lot of paperwork. So it's like, it could be a 6-month queue. So we're hoping maybe fall. And we can get to that point where we can talk with you. Like, we tend to install many of these things on our own. Sometimes, if it's a private cemetery, they want to install it. We have another town who ultimately started installing them for us just to make it easier. So whatever works for you guys works for us. And I don't think we'll have a dedication ceremony there because it's so difficult to access the property. If you want to do something maybe like more at the roadside or whatever, again, we'll work with you on what you want to do. But we did one a couple weeks ago at Toponymous and Marlboro, and that's also extremely hard to access. So we just had a couple people. There was actually some of the neighbors that came in, and so we just did a very little informal thing with like less than 10 people. So ultimately, whatever you guys want to do, we'll.
So as liaison to the Historic Preservation Committee, 2008, I conducted a survey of that very cemetery, and
Okay.
I have my report, which I will give to you. I will call Trina, and she'll give you all my contact information. I wish I had my card with me.
Okay.
It was myself and Dr. Richard Veit from Monmouth University, the chairman of the archaeology department. And we just did a brief survey and at that time, what was there. I do, that the best access is through the farm in front there. And the property owners have always been very nice and allowed us to, I just knock on the door and say, hey, historic preservation. And they say, okay, you know where you're going.
Yeah.
You know where it is. So that's usually the easiest way. You can get there from the other side, but it's a little bit of a hike. And if you're doing restoration work, you want to come from the road.
Okay.
And the old road goes pretty, you can get kind of close to it on the old road. So, just give me a call, let you know.
Okay.
I'll meet you out there one day if you want. And
Sure, you can come to our little ceremony because when we install it, at least if there's a couple people that want to come, we just don't want a lot of public.
No. Yeah, no, and absolutely. And any help I could be, because I've worked in the cemetery. I cleared some brush and trees out of there a couple of times, but a long time ago. So, and then there's been a beautiful restoration in the interim.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen it recently. Someone did a really good job, and I'm embarrassed to say that I forget who carried out the restoration, and I should know that. But they did a great job. They
Okay.
really
Yeah, I was
did.
there about a year ago. It's
Was
been
it
a
an
bit of a
Eagle
slow.
Scout project? I don't. Might have been an Eagle Scout project.
Yeah,
It
there
was
seems to be a little confusion to
Yeah.
that, so.
So, yeah, thank you very much,
Okay.
though. I could talk about history all night.
Great. We can talk about
Committeeman
afterwards.
Rizzuto, for the benefit of the audience, can you tell us where in town this grave marker is?
So the closest would be off of Laird Field, off of Phalanx and Laird, but you could get in there off of Phalanx through the farm.
We have a few cemeteries in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Bennett Cemetery, Megan's family, who've been here for 200 and something years in this town. The Bennett family burial ground is off of the back of Laird's.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm calling him a tour guide. Ed Piotrowski took me there like last fall, maybe. And
Really? That's a little tricky to get to.
That's a harder one to get.
I think we sort of got a little lost on the way in, and then on the way out, like I had to open my phone and say, Ed, my GPS says we're going that way.
Right.
So,
So you really just walk to the upper baseball field, find the ridge that
yep, that's
that
what we
big
did.
radio transmitter's on, and follow it to its prominent point where it overlooks what was once probably dammed up in a pond. And you're right on the edge of Springsteen's property there.
Yeah, and that's in really bad shape, as you know. And there's 3
Yeah, that's
veterans over
bad.
there, all unmarked graves. And I talked a little to Tara. That's a little more difficult how we might want to do that. I think we need more discussion with you guys. Does it make sense to put markers in there, or do we just want to put maybe something over by the baseball fields? You know.
You let me know. I'll take
Yeah,
it
and we
back
can certainly connect on that.
Yeah, that's a harder project.
I mean, so I know I said I could get you my family Bible. I can get a copy of that. So you
Okay.
should, but,
Yes, we need to like meet in person offline one day.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michelle, for
Thank you.
coming in. Appreciate your time
Thank
and all
you.
that you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move down to discussion item for 8 Holling Road, the street opening moratorium relief. Megan, did you want to, Megan, I'm sorry, I looked at Kathleen and said Megan.
Yes, we have you're the property owner?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'll let the property owner explain what they're challenged with as it relates to the project that's undergoing at that location, and then I can talk further about the engineer and planner's comments. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Hi,
If you could just state your name and address.
William Scott, 55 Chestnut Ridge Road, Holmdel, New Jersey.
I'm Mike Heist. Yeah, we're the owners of 8 Halling Road. We're rehabbing the house though. My home address is 53 Highland in Fairhaven.
Yes, we acquired the property in January. It had been in disrepair for some time and had been abandoned for about 2 years. And we're currently conducting a full renovation of the property. At the time that we acquired it, there was no means of heating or cooling the property. There was
I don't think the microphone is on.
It is.
It is?
Yeah, you just got to get up on it. Yeah.
all right.
Pick it up. Thank you.
Yep. At the time that we acquired the property, there was no means of heating or cooling. There have been oil heat at some point. The tank was removed in July of last year. And we wanted to run gas and then found out that there was a moratorium set to expire at the end of this year.
Right. So as you know, the governing body has the sole authority to waive that moratorium. I did consult with both Tim Manfuso as well as our township engineer, Glenn Gherkin. September is when that street was paved. So we're really at about 4.5 years. So it's just a few months shy of the 5-year moratorium. So neither Tim nor Glenn have any objection. Glenn would say that a condition be put on that moratorium to ensure that they saw cut the opening and install a base course up to the surface, and then allow for a return in 60 to 90 days to do some infrared heating. So we can make that a condition of your approval if you so choose to allow them to move forward.
I have no objection based upon our engineers and Tim's, the planner's recommendation.
I agree.
Agreed.
Agreed. No objection with the stipulation that they would do the 2-part.
Very good. So I'll draft an agreement with condition. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck to
Excellent.
you guys.
Thank you and good luck with the project. (2025) municipal budget. Mr. Antonides, this is your time to shine.
Good evening, Mayor, governing body, public. I'd like to give you some basics of the budget for this year. In preparation of the municipal budget, it's a time-consuming process that starts in the fall of every year. It ends in the spring when myself and the administrator, Ms. Capristo, review each line item departmental budget, and then we present this budget to the Township Committee. And this is then finalized by the Township Auditor and is formally introduced, which it has been, and will be adopted. And sometimes we'll need the state for review. This is one of the years there's no review from the state. It's reviewed every 3 years from the state. The next review will be next year. The total 2025 budget, current operating budget is $20,620,918.52. State law mandates that municipal budgets must be balanced with revenues equaling appropriations. The main source of revenues for the township are property tax, $12.5 million, open space property tax, $543,000, federal and state grants, $56,000, state aid, $2 million, surplus, $3 million, local revenues, $997,500, miscellaneous revenues, $1,146,250, which includes $881,250. This year, we have to raise it as a revenue, and it's offset with an appropriation because we received a grant that pays down a capital bond anticipation note that we had. Delinquent taxes, $300,000. The Township Committee, in preparing the municipal budget, has maintained all existing services, which results in a 0.96 increase for municipal operations, or 0.003 of a penny, which means the municipal tax rate would go from 0.275 to 0.278. This was done despite an increase of 21.68 in state mandated pension costs and 5.25 increase in recycling costs. The $3 million in capital improvement fund is $700,000 more than last year. This money allows the township the ability to do pay-as-you-go capital on most projects, which includes $2 million in road improvements, which also includes grant funds, $2.5 million for the purchase of a fire truck, $284,000 in DPW equipment, repairs and vehicles, and another $334,000 in police and fire vehicles and equipment. This still leaves a capital improvement fund balance of just under $1.1 million, which can be used as pay-as-you-go capital or as a down payment for any long-term financing. As mentioned, we're using $3 million in surplus. The surplus at the end of 2024 was $5.6 million. This leaves $2.6 million remaining. That means we've used 53% of the surplus. Over the last 4 years, the average we have used is 54%. So we're in the same ballpark as we've done in prior years. The average balance of surplus after the budget was 13% as compared to our total appropriations. The last 4 years, our balance was 12.25%. So once again, we're right in the same numbers that we've been in the last 4 years.
John, can you explain the use of surplus, please, the limitations?
No statute limitations. I just gave you the numbers that we follow percentage-wise. But if you went to use, if you have $5.6 million and you use $5 million of surplus and you only have $600,000 left, so next year you have to generate enough surplus for that $5 million. If you don't have that $5 million, then you have to raise taxes the following year. You have to make up that difference. However, we use a percentage, as I just mentioned. We try to match it up to the appropriations around 12 to 15%.
So if we were to reduce the use of surplus by lowering the rate the following year, what's the risk the next year?
Did you say lower the surplus? You mean use more surplus?
Return surplus at a lower tax rate.
Well, that's what I just explained. So if you use $5 million, another $2 million, and we bring taxes, further down, you have to make up that $2 million in the following year. You not only make them the $2 million, you have to make up the total of $5 million. Because if you're using $5 million on your surplus, you want to have $5 million to use next year. If you don't have that $5 million, the only alternative is to raise taxes.
I'd like to point out some specifics that we've invested over the last number of years. I received some communication from a resident this morning that they read a social media post that had them concerned, and they asked for some information. I said I would discuss it tonight. I don't see them here. Maybe they're online watching, or they'll watch the stream at a later time. Paved roads. In the last 5 years, we have paved approximately 18 miles of roads for a cost of $8.7 million. We have replaced 4.8 miles of curbs for a cost of $1 million. We have replaced or repaired 208 inlets for $400,000. That's a total of $10.3 million. Why did we not build bathrooms at 5 Point? Well, that's an interesting story. What's missing is the open space grant from Monmouth County, preliminarily awarded in 2022, was rescinded. At the time, the Monmouth County Board of Commissioners did want to give Colts Neck a win. They held the grant for about a year and a half. This was during COVID. By the time we got to work towards the project, it had doubled in price. So it really wasn't the Township Committee. It was an issue with the open space grant. 5 points. We have our reserves are fully funded, John? Our reserve funds. So we put
$400,000
$400,000 over the last 5 years.
For the turf field.
For the turf fields. Yes. The turf field is being meticulously maintained, which will extend its life. It's usually around a 10-year life. We expect to exceed that by a few years. But by the time that were to come due, it was inaugurated in 2018. That would be 2028 or later. We should have most of the cost put away in reserves to be able to pay for a new carpet out of pay-as-you-go capital, not have to bond, not have to borrow. What about equipment for firefighters and first aid or supporting our first aid, our first responders? Well, first aid owns the rigs. We own the building, they own the rigs. But 3 years ago, during COVID and before that, our volunteer agencies, just as all volunteer agencies across the state, this is not a specific problem to Colts Neck. There are issues with an aging population of the volunteers, time aging out, and new volunteers coming in. So there was a challenge with turnout for first aid, where they would need 3 first aid responders to drive the rig, take care of a patient, and transport a patient. We spent $130,000 and bought electric carts for 2 of the 3 wagons. They're down to 2 wagons now. 2 of their rigs have electric carts that the township had provided to them. And what that does is that allows less manpower to move a patient up and down stairs or in and out of the rig. Additionally, 2 years ago, we purchased an $800,000 pumper for Firehouse Number 1. Tonight in the budget, and then afterwards, we're introducing a bond ordinance to replace the 84-190, which is the ladder truck, which is approximately 25 years old. That's another $2.5 million cost. So that's $3.53 million of investments into the first aid, first responders. The building, the cost for the building, we do have problems with the drainage, as you know, with the septic system that is under construction right now. All of those costs will be borne by the contractor, not the taxpayer. What else? There was a question. A claim was made that when we're in Atlantic City at a conference, that the township pays our expenses. Township does not pay our expenses. We pay all our own expenses. That is an outright falsehood. So if that's being if you're propagating that on social media, you're responding to it and encouraging it, it's complete disinformation. So we have invested considerably into the township in the last 10 years. I will go back to 2020. In 2020, in February, as we do every year, we have a workshop to begin to develop the budget. The finance officer, the administrator work with all the department heads. They come to us with their asks and they defend their asks as a part of this process. In 2020, we developed a budget in February, and in March, COVID came. We went back and took everything out of the budget. So we had an artificially low year. Seniors weren't able to meet, so seniors didn't have a bigger budget that year in recreation. There were a lot of things that we retracted because we did not know what to expect with COVID. But what that did was that dropped that number down artificially low. We've had increases in debt service. So in 2020, in the fall of 2020, we took the $10 million to build this building. The construction cost was $10 million and some $11 million of older debt that we needed to long-term finance. We refinanced $21 million at 2.28%. If we were to finance now, instead of having $3 million in surplus and needed to bond, it would be more than twice that cost, almost 3 times that cost in interest payments. So we've made some very wise long-term investments, and we've actually, in this budget, I will tell you that we are adding 2 police officers and all of the necessary equipment to support them so that they are on the road and trained and prepared to deal with the increase in population over the next several years. So that investment is being made this year. So there's a lot in the budget, but there's a lot that has been justified over the last number of years. And it's $3 million is a considerable contribution in pay-as-you-go. What that allows us to do for the last 2 years, we have not bonded or borrowed money. This year, we're going to have to. We're not going to be able to pay for a fire truck at $2.5 million out of our surplus. And we utilize the Monmouth County Improvement Authority for some of our other capital purchases because they're larger. They have a AAA bond rating. Our bond rating is AA++ or AA11 Standard and Moody's, Standard & Poor's and Moody's. Their higher rating will help afford us a lower rate as we finance those purchases. So that's some of my input on the budget, where the numbers are coming from and what it is that we're buying.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else have any questions, comments for?
So I have 2. When I came on the committee a couple of months ago, I asked Deputy Mayor Viola, why are we paying for recycling costs? I pay for my own garbage pickup. Why can't I pay for my own recycling costs? And Michael explained to me, Mike, do you want to explain that? That's a state requirement.
It's mandated that the township provides recycling services.
And what's the cost increase been on that?
So when I came on committee in 2018, it was about 90,000 a year. It's now over 400, correct? And that is because the recycling industry had changed dramatically, but again, we're mandated by the state to pick up recycling.
So the state,
China stopped taking it.
Pardon me?
China refused to take recyclables, so that was one of the big hits.
Yeah, so China was taking everything that we can send them, and then we were sending them a lot of contaminated stuff, so they claimed that they had to clean and it had added costs. They basically stopped on a dime, and we had nowhere to deliver our recycling. So the cost has gone up by 400%, maybe more.
so that's $400,000 out of the $20 million budget that the state requires us to pay. Mr. Antonides, I have a question for you. You mentioned that the budget is 20 million, but the tax revenue makes up about 12 million of that 20.
Correct.
Can you talk about how that 12 million has changed over the years? Give us some context about that $12 million revenue raise from taxes.
From which point in time?
Well, just a couple of years beyond that. But
I'm trying to
I have
understand your
look-
question.
I have to look it up.
Yeah.
what was the tax raise in the years?
Well, it's not a tax
Before.
raise. You're talking about the amount to be raised by taxes is different every year based upon the budget year. So if I go back, I'm going to go back a couple of years for you. So back in 2023, it was 10,136,000. But of
Last
course,
year
it's
was
also-
just over 11, correct?
Correct. So, I mean, you're just comparing, but it depends, everything else that's in your budget, where you offset. You have $3 million you have $3 million in capital improvement fund this year. You know, it's a big increase from what we had a couple of years ago.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
Okay. Well, it looks like have a motion to open a public hearing.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is just on the municipal budget.
This is, yes, I was going to say, this is public comment on the municipal budget. You will have an opportunity to comment after. So anybody?
Good evening, Robert Scales, 2 Queens Pass. Disclaimer, I'm a member of the Board of Education, so the comments and the questions I have today are solely my own and do not reflect the entire Board of Education. If we look at the percentages of the property tax breakdown, 46% of the tax bill, Colts Neck Township K through 8. 21% is Freehold Regional High School District 9 through 12. Colts Neck Township Municipal Town Purposes, 17 to 18%. Colts Neck Municipal Open Space Fund, 1%. Monmouth County General Purposes, 12%. Monmouth County Library Tax, 1%. Monmouth County Open Space Tax, 2%. Grand total, 100%. We're obviously a very large part of your budget. Over the last 2 years, our budget has remained completely flat, not talking from a percentages perspective, but from a dollars perspective. So I, being on the committee, I'm trying to figure out where the discrepancy is from all of the revenue that we've raised. You just mentioned, and I was hoping you were going to answer about over the last 2 to 3 years, what the capital raise was. Everyone in Colts Neck, our taxes went up about 20 to 21%. The grand total for the average tax bill right now is $17,400. And I would say the assessment is about 1.12 million. And that was a total as of 2023. So from 2023 to 2025, the revenues should have increased about 20 to 25% from a municipal perspective. But if it hasn't, that means it's not coming from the school because we've remained flat for over 2 years. So who do we blame? Is it Monmouth County that we blame? for this rise, or who is it and where is that money? Because I can't find it on our budget. And I just want to know where, as a taxpayer, the bill that goes up, if the school board, if we have access to excess reserves and capital, then we can use that money to put into other categories of the school. But where is the money going from our tax increase and revenue? So if you can shed light on that, that would be greatly appreciated. That's the end of my statement. Thank you.
So we're not a school board, so we cannot take money out of capital and use it for offsetting appropriations. If it's in capital, it's going to be used for capital purposes. Also, this is why our surplus is higher and why we're using pay-as-you-go capital. We're using that money to pay cash for capital instead of doing long-term financing and borrowing at higher interest rates. It's better to pay as you go than to actually have to borrow money.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Ms. Mann?
Elaine Mann, 587 Route 34. In your opinion, by firing and reorganizing the DPW, has that been beneficial to the taxpayers? As an example, Mr. Bader makes $153,882 this coming year. We have two foremen, Mr. Baxis, $132,056, and Mr. Shedd, who has been here and has more seniority than Mr. Baxis, $98,000. That's totaling $383,938. Plus, Bader and Baxis has the use of township vehicles to go back and forth to work and use around town. Their gas and their insurance are paid for. A vehicle nowadays costs about $9,300. They have clothing and T-shirts and boots. In my opinion, we should have one superintendent. You don't have that many employees. Years ago, when Mr. Thompson ran the DPW, we saved a lot of money because he got a hold of Mr. Tobiah, and with them together, they took care of a lot of things and saved an awful lot of money. We outsource everything. So what is we should do, and we need a cost-benefit approach to see what works and what does not work and change how we do business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mann. As someone who was not here during DPW reorganization, I know I can't speak to that, but I do know that personnel costs are rising. We all know this. I think we value our DPW tremendously. They do an excellent job.
We're really speaking just the municipal budget right now, so I think we're going on.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Motion to close.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, John, for
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
all of that.
Thanks, John.
New business, resolution 2020. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, prove it. She's doing nothing.
That's what I,
Now you know how I feel, Tara.
you know what?
You didn't do anything wrong and they're yelling at you.
I
Now you know how I feel.
know. You know what? And that's usually been me.
That's usually me.
So authorizing adoption of the 2025 municipal budget.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Can I get a roll call?
Yes. Deputy Mayor Viola?
Yes.
Committeeman Buzetta?
Yes.
Committeewoman Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto?
Yes.
And Mayor Bus.
Yes. Resolution 2025-91, establishing 2025 salaries and wages for non-union township positions.
Yes, since the budget has been adopted, this next step would be memorializing the salaries that are approved as part of that budget.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other comments? Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Viola,
Yes.
Committeeman Buzetta,
Yes.
Committeewoman Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto,
Yes.
and Mayor Bus.
Yes. Ordinance 2025-9, ordinance amending Chapter 102, Development Regulations, 106 Signs of the Code of Colts Neck Township, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey. This is the first reading, introduction by title.
Yes, I'm going to defer to our township attorney to address this, please.
Hello, Mayor. So, Mayor, our office had an opportunity to look at this ordinance recently. It does make a specific reference to political signs, which has been found unconstitutional. So we needed to remove that and revise the ordinance to bring it up to constitution.
We can't preempt the Constitution.
We can,
Nor do we want to.
nor do we want to try.
Th-
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Viola,
Yes.
Committeeman Buzetta,
Yes.
Committeewoman Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto,
Yes.
and Mayor Bus.
Yes, there's a public hearing scheduled for May 14th, 2025 for this. Ordinance 2025-10, ordinance appropriating $2,343,868. I've decided I need new reading glasses because I can barely read anymore. $2,099,
230.
$2,099,000.
99,000.
230. Of which?
2,099,230 of which is from the Capital Improvement Fund, and 244,638 of which is from a State of New Jersey Department of Transportation grant for various capital improvements in and by Colts Neck Township in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey. This is first reading, introduction by title. Comments?
Yeah, I can speak to that, Mayor. Again, this ordinance 2025-10 and 2025-11 are, again, in direct connection with the budget that was just approved to appropriate those funds for the various items as detailed in the budget.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Viola,
Yes.
Committeeman Buzetta,
Yes.
Committeewoman Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto,
Yes.
and Mayor Bus.
Yes. Ordinance 2025-11, bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of a fire truck in and by Colts Neck Township in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, appropriating $2,510,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,384,500 bonds for notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. This is first reading, introduction by title. Comments?
5% of the cost is paid out of the operating budget. The rest can be bonded.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Viola,
Yes.
Committeeman Buzetta,
I believe I need to recuse myself.
Yes, you do, in essence.
Recused?
Committeewoman Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto,
I recuse myself as I am a member, as is Committeeman Bezetta of the Fire Department.
and Mayor Bus.
Yes. Public hearing is scheduled for May 14th, 2025. Consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by the township and are adopted or approved collectively by a single motion and roll call vote of a majority of the township committee. If discussion is desired on any item, it is considered separately. We have resolution 2025-92 through 2025-96. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Viola,
Yes.
Committeeman Buzetta,
Yes.
Committeewoman Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto,
Yes.
and Mayor Bus.
Yes. Approval of vouchers. Finance Chair?
Thank you, Mayor. Reviewed the vouchers and purchase orders yesterday. Long list, smaller in payment size, but a long list, but all was in order. I moved the amount of $508,506.07 for payment.
Second.
Roll call?
Deputy Mayor Viola,
Yes.
Committeeman Buzetta,
Yes.
Committeewoman Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto,
Yes.
and Mayor Bus.
Yes, with the exception of any bills related to the municipal court. Administrators report.
Nothing other than to again reiterate my thanks to John and Tannadies and the department heads for their assistance with the budget.
Excellent, thank you. Committeeman Bezetta. Township Committee reports.
So I thought what I would do tonight is provide a summary of the status of affordable housing, where it is, what we're doing. Obviously, affordable housing is an emotional topic. It engenders a lot of opinions. There's a lot of information that's been swirling around, a lot of misinformation. So what I'd like to do is present facts. I'm not here to persuade you of anything, but I hope to inform you of where we are with facts. So I have a little show and tell. Forgive my handwriting. So affordable housing has been around in New Jersey. It's been the law of the state of New Jersey since 1975.
Did we see that?
We didn't create it.
I'm the Vanna of the night.
It's a product.
Okay, thank you.
It's a product of state law. It's been enforced by the courts almost uniformly. Round 3 of affordable housing mandates spanned from 1999 until 2025. The balance of the affordable housing units that Colts Neck is obligated to have, according to state law, is 138 units. That's the balance. Just this week, we received from the court a judgment of repose. We retain our immunity to builders' remedy lawsuits. But the court required that we set aside $2 million for water and sewer if a developer ever comes forward and builds. And we just appealed that decision today. Now, for the 138 units, we have what's called a durational adjustment. I'll come back to that in a moment. Also, before I got on the committee, the township rezoned 78 acres of land, essentially south of the intersection of 537 and 34, south of that. So think of Delicious Orchards, think of that area. 78 acres has been rezoned for affordable housing. If we're going to have it, that's where we want it to be. Round 4, which spans 2025 to 2035, our obligation is 101 units. Now, some towns fought their obligation number. We chose, after our experts considered all of the variables that go into it, looked at it from top to bottom, left to right, they said there is no legal basis to challenge the 101 number. So we adopted it under protest, but we adopted it. And there's a subcommittee of the planning board which is working now on a plan which has to be filed by June 30, which is going to present our plan to satisfy the 101, which essentially is a durational adjustment. Again, the term durational adjustment. I just want to stop there for a moment. 159 towns in New Jersey objected to the numbers that they got. In January, 159 towns were sued by the New Jersey Builders Association. They're now defending that lawsuit and will be for years to come. We had no basis to oppose the 101, so we approved it under protest with the durational adjustment. What does durational adjustment mean? It means that because our town does not have water or sewer, we shouldn't be obligated to fulfill the 238 units. We say to the court, to Fair Share Housing, we don't have the infrastructure for it. The court approved that in round 3. We think they're going to approve it in round 4. But it's not a forever fix, right? If a builder comes with the ability to bring in water and sewer, we're going to have to work with them. But there's no builder that right now is trying to build any units of affordable housing. Now, this is important. There's a lot swirling around in social media that we have approved 1,200 units of housing. And the reason they get to that 1,200 units is because you take the 239, which is the balance of our obligation. Because the law allows builders to build 4 market rate units for every affordable unit, that's a 5-to-1 ratio. You multiply 239 by 5, you get 1,195 units. That's the worst case scenario. That's what would happen if we do nothing. But I'm here to tell you that we have a plan that we have been working on and that we're continuing to work on. That plan involves extending affordability controls on existing units in the ground. Those units that are affordable housing units in the ground, those affordability controls expire this year, next year. Our goal, what we're working on, is to extend those affordability controls for another 30 years. What that does, if we're successful, is it means that we will satisfy a significant portion of our obligation without any new development in town. Without any new development, with existing homes, with our neighbors that live in them already. That's what our plan is. That's what we're working on. The second part is we are in negotiations to convert market rate homes to affordable homes. Again, no new shovels in the ground. Those homes already exist, they're occupied. If we can convert the market rate to affordable, we can satisfy, our goal is to satisfy a significant number of that 101 from the 4th round with those 2 options, resulting in 0 new development in town. If we exceed 101, we apply it back to round 3, reducing the 138 number. That's what we're working on. That's a fact. It's not a spin. I'm not here to persuade you of anything. That's the goal that this township committee has, to satisfy as much of that 239 with existing housing. Now, we will not satisfy all of it because there's just not enough existing affordable housing that we could extend affordability on or that we can convert. So whatever's left over, what our goal is, what we're working very diligently on, is looking into senior housing and veteran housing. Why? Because there's no impact on our schools. So what we're committed to do is to satisfy that state-imposed number. It's not a number that we want. It's not a number that we came up with. It's a number that the state came up with. We want to satisfy that number with the least impact on our town. Extending affordability, converting market rate to affordability, looking into senior housing, and looking into veteran housing. If we do that, it's not going to be 1,200 more units in Colts Neck. There may be much, much less because of that senior and veteran. We're also looking at 100% affordability so that we take away this 5-to-1 ratio, which only benefits builders and developers. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I just wanted to give you the facts of where we are, what we're working on, what our focus on. We are working tirelessly to satisfy that number with the least impact on our town. I'm going to report regularly on the progress. I think by the end of this year, we will have significant information to report that's going to reduce that number in a material way. And I pledge to you that we're working hard on it every day, and we'll report to you as we have more information. Anything to add?
I would just add that the period is 10 years. We don't have to have everything in place July 1st of 2025. So again, the opportunity is there for us to satisfy round 4 obligation without any new development by utilizing market rate to affordable and extending the affordability controls. Affordability controls are, this is the market rate rent, this is affordable rent. That's the affordability control for another 30-year period of time. So I thank my committeeman colleague for his report. I have nothing else to add to it.
Let me just, I just want to add one thing. This is not just us doing it, right? I mentioned earlier that there's the subcommittee of the planning board that's meeting. It's made up of representatives from this body, the planning board, fire, police, various school board. We're all coming together to find solutions, working hand in hand. We could argue about whether or not we should have had that years ago. Okay, fine. I don't know. I just got on the committee and I was asked to join it and I was happy to do it. We have it now. We're working on it. We're working on it and we're going to find solutions to help this town. Now, one other thing. We hear a lot about the Gasali lawsuit. Mayor Gasali is the mayor of Montvale, New Jersey. I've spoken with Mayor Gasali. I respect Mayor Gasali. He brought together, I think now it's up to 24 towns that have filed a lawsuit against the state to stop affordable housing. I commend Mayor Gasali. I told him that when I spoke to him. Unfortunately, at every step of the way, that lawsuit has not succeeded. Just today, there was an oral argument in state court to amend the complaint. I don't know what the result of that was, but on May 9th, there's also scheduled motion to dismiss the entire case. They've already had motions to stay enforcement of round 4 denied. Every lawsuit that has been filed to stop affordable housing has not succeeded. Now Mayor Gasali has turned around and last week, the 24 towns filed a lawsuit in federal court. I wish it were the case that if you increase the number of towns that join lawsuits, that judges get frightened and get scared and say, oh, I'm going to vote for you because you have a lot of towns on your side of the V. It doesn't work that way. Whether it's 20 towns, 50 towns, or 100 towns, the courts are going to make a decision based on the law and the facts, not the number of towns that join it. And just so that, again, factual, a town that only recently joined the lawsuit, it's only been in it for a couple of months, they are already at about $30,000 spend. The towns that have began the lawsuit over a year ago, they're at well over $100,000 spend. So there's money that's being spent, and I wish them well. I hope they succeed, because if they succeed, we benefit. So I hope that they succeed. I wish them well, but so far they haven't. So thank you for your time. I'm sorry I went on too long.
Do you have any other updates? Thank you.
I do. So the rec committee, I attended the rec committee event meeting last week. Planning is underway for the Memorial Day Parade, which is May 26th. There's also planning underway for the Sounds of Summer concert series. There'll be 12 concerts this year on Thursdays throughout the summer. There's more information that will be posted on that. And as of last week, 150 campers have signed up for summer camp in Colts Neck. And together with the Colts Neck Police Department, they're putting on a one-week program called the Police Youth Academy from July 21 to July 25 for kids in grades 5 through 7, where they'll be having demonstrations on K-9 and SWAT teams and safety online and training and basic police training. So I think for the kids, they're going to really enjoy that. And the last thing, Mayor, if I can, is last week was a particularly difficult week for the Colts Neck Fire Department. They responded to 2 structure fires. One was a barn, one was a residence. It was taxing on the members, and I know that some members from number 1 also responded to the wildfires down south. So a busy week, and I commend and salute my brothers in the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Committeewoman Fitzpatrick,
Thank you.
updates?
Yes, sure. I had mentioned in my report earlier this month that we were having a cleanup at Town Hall in recognition of Earth Week, and it was very successful. There was very little garbage actually to pick up, so our townspeople are doing a good job keeping our arboretum clean. Just also want to mention that our longtime resident and past Mayor Tom Hennessy was part of that work crew, and he is the chair of the Environmental Commission, so we're so happy to have him still around. There were many residents actually walking the paths, and they asked us what we were doing, and when we were telling them, they were very thankful that there were people out there trying to keep our arboretum clean. Arbor Day, we had, as the mayor mentioned, our sapling giveaway, and Committeeman Mizuta was there, and Committeeman Viola, Mayor Buss, yes. So we were all there, and we had a great turnout, and we gave away almost everything. We had some red buds, we had magnolias, white and red oak, and it's interesting because everybody said we already have oaks, so they weren't really crazy about getting the oaks, but they took all the red buds and the magnolias. And any of the leftovers, I happened to take over to the book sale that they were having at the library, so they all found a good home, which I appreciate that. I just want to thank Tom Pacheco of Colts Neck Nursery, because he was the one that was that instituted the sapling giveaway and getting the saplings. So we really appreciate his work. And just want to mention also, shout out to JP Bartolomeo, because he was the one that said we should move it over to the community center. Before, we used to have it on the town hall on the steps, and it would be freezing, rainy, cold, and this makes it so much easier because you can just drive up, you can walk into the building and get your saplings. So it was a good suggestion. We thank him for that. We're still doing that.
And it was raining.
And it was raining, yes. We also gave some seed packets away. They were herbs that you can put in a planter, and then, you know, when you're making your salads or your sauces, you can just go and pick your own vegetables, and you can keep them away from the deer and the rabbits and just put them in a little pot. CMBA, Mayor Buss, Committeeman Viola and Busette and myself went to the ribbon cutting for the grind. It had been open for a while, but they wanted to have a grand opening and they wanted people to get out. And we had a great turnout, and they had some delicious food there. So it was nice celebrating that. We also attended the 60th anniversary of the Cedar Drive School. And it really was a walk down memory lane, because I had 4 children that went there, and walking through, they had a display of decades of memorabilia. And I found pictures of each of my children there. So that was pretty cool, and I enjoyed that. There were several alumni there, their parents, and some past teachers. I was looking forward to see the Little Leaguers for opening day, but it got canceled twice because the rain has really ruined their plans, and I felt bad about that. And just 2 things coming up. The Colts Neck Lions Club is having their annual Kentucky Derby May 3rd, and the Women's Club is having a special event, a tea, on Saturday, May 10th in the library. That's it.
Thank you. You said Saturday, May 10th?
May 10th.
Excellent. Thank you. Committeeman Rizzuto.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to steal, Alan, I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit, and I'm going to expound upon what Dan Bizzetta said. Thank you to the police and the fire and first aid and everybody who came out to the recent fires we've had. You know, they come, seems like they come in 2s and 3s. I was at the house fire. It was a you know, and I heard the barn fire was pretty profound. Good unified command, good response, good relay set up. Everyone did a great job. Like I said, I was only personally at the house fire, but the command was set up perfectly. The relays were set up, and it really went off by the numbers. And I'd like to thank all the surrounding towns who came out to help, because that's you know, no one town can fight a fire like that by itself. Especially our partners at Naval Weapons Stations, Earl, who always come out to help us when they can. They have a lot of resources, and thank you to them. I met with the chief of police. Then, yeah, good job. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Amen.
Al.
Met with Chief DeVito from the police department, and he's got a bunch of stuff cooking over there in the police department. He's got 2 traffic officers who are certified in baby seats, and those of us who have ever struggled with the baby seat know that you're never quite sure that you got it right. So you can call the police department, and it really does take a technician sometimes with all these attachments and to lean your weight into it and get it tight. So I'm glad I'm beyond that now, but if you ever have to struggle with one, just call the cops and they'll help you with it. They're starting a youth academy too for the kids of the town and surrounding towns who want to participate in the youth academy. They're also starting a Facebook page, which is good. And they're going to be putting a lot of information out on that. So if anybody's interested, go on over to that. I don't know. He was working on it. It was very close to be. It might be up. I don't know if it's up yet, but they were working on that. And of course, planning again for National Night Out. And I don't see, is Anita here tonight? No. I was just wondering, since we didn't get it off last year, did we?
We did not.
We did not. So I don't
and
know
they've
if we have
been
double the budget this
Postponed
year.
twice.
We do have some extra money that has been used to enhance the speakers. I can speak on Anita's behalf for the Prevention Alliance,
All
and
right,
they're
so-
already spending for this upcoming.
It's going to be better than ever because we'll be spending the surplus on National Night Out. Historic preservation. Today, the 3rd grade class came to the Montrose Schoolhouse, to the one-room schoolhouse, and they did their little class. We have a flag with the appropriate amount of stars on it that I donated for 1847. The date that this town was founded. They have Lincoln and Washington up in the back of the schoolhouse, and we have all the old desks from different periods throughout history. The desks reflect from colonial times to about 1920s, when the school closed down in 1924. So they get a little bit of that local history. They see that all the kids used to go to school in one room, all mixed together. And I have to say a special thank you to Michelle Waldorf, who I believe is a teacher herself or works in the school. She really was instrumental in getting this done, and logistics and busing and getting a porta-john out there. So the Historic Preservation is doing a great job. And also go on the Monmouth County website for Weekend in Old Monmouth if you're interested now, since my story is so intriguing. To go visit the Montrose Schoolhouse, you could do it. It'll be open again during the historic tour of Monmouth County, which has a lot of sites, one of which being the Montrose School. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I will not talk about affordable housing. Roads, Conover Road, North Route 34 Bridge. We've been notified by the Department of Transportation. The bridge will be constructed in 2 phases. At least 2 lanes of traffic will be maintained in each stage. A partial detour of Conover Road will be in place for approximately 9 months during stage 1. And these proposed improvements will eliminate bridge and roadway deficiencies. Additionally, the proposal also improves safety and operations at Conover Road intersection by installing a new traffic light. Final design is 2025 to 2028. They added some time to that, and they expect to start construction sometime in 2028. So that's moved out a little bit. DPW brush pickup is moving through Zone 4, and the final spring pickup begins Monday in Zone 1. Cleanup day is this Saturday at Mazza in Eatontown on Shafto Road from 7 to 1. If you are a senior or a 62 and older or a disabled resident, you can make a reservation with DPW for curbside pickup of your trash, of your pickup day stuff. You got to call by 3 o'clock tomorrow. If you call at 3:01, you missed the deadline. 732-462-7998, the general number at DPW. And I would just like to thank Recreation for the Easter egg hunt that was held on April 19th at Firehouse Number 1. That too was postponed from the week before because of the rain that came through, but we need the rain. So thanks to Colts Neck Rec, Firehouse Number 1, Women's Auxiliary, and Delicious Orchards for providing the goodies. And special thanks to the Easter Bunny, knowing how busy the Easter Bunny was, still was there for the kids. That's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you. Did they have any peeps? Peeps? No.
My wife got all the peeps.
They had donuts and hot chocolate.
I'm kidding. I missed it. Unfortunately, I was away that weekend. So thank you very much. One of the things I just want to say a huge congratulations for the 60th anniversary party that we all attended. I had the pleasure of giving a proclamation to the Cedar Drive Middle School. I actually was surprised when I heard they were having a 60th anniversary. The school looks pretty darn good. So Dr. Rigby, Dr. Garibay, the Board of Education, the staff, the students, the student liaisons that helped and toured around the school. It was just amazing. I'm always so impressed by these students who are a level of mature that is surprising, I find, for middle schoolers. So they did an amazing job. So it was definitely an honor to be there. There were so many people. It was a huge success. I also want to mention sorry, to talk about affordable housing. I had the opportunity to go to the DCA, which is the Department of Community Affairs, which took over the affordable housing duties. The DCA hosted the launch of the NJ Homes. So I went on Friday up to New Brunswick and had the opportunity to go to this launch where they're launching this initiative where they are setting up a new website, which is going to allow municipalities to better plan. This involved mayors, business administrators, there was township planners. It was a variety of people. DCA was there. Jacqueline Suarez, who's the commissioner of DCA, spoke. There was somebody from Fair Share Housing that spoke. There was a lot of them. There was a variety of developers and builders that were there, both big and small. And one of the things that they spoke of is they're launching some funding opportunities for municipalities for funding with partnerships with nonprofits. And I know that we have spent a lot of time speaking with some nonprofits in relation to veterans housing, special needs housing, supportive housing. So they're doing some grant funding for what they called life cycle housing, which is the term that they're really pushing for. So it was a very valuable experience. I have a lot of notes and information to share, and they're going to be launching some of this grant funding. I see, a few people here from the Affordable Housing Subcommittee. I'm sure this will all be coming back as we kind of move forward and plan for the future. Some good opportunities, and I have to commend the DCA, which they probably don't get a lot of commending, but they really put together a really nice website, which they launched it, a beta version right now, but they expect the full version to come out in 2026. So it's going to really help towns plan better. And then the other update was the library. I know that everyone always hears of me speaking of the library sales. This past weekend, the Friends of the Library did another book sale. And in my new,
That's your bag of goodies.
my bag of goodies. So I'll have to sit since we have to do the microphone. So I started this tradition last year and I had to do it again. So for those of you who see, this is our Friends of the Library bag, which anybody can get for $5 for the bag. And you see how heavy this is? It's great for groceries. So I started this last year where I really want to encourage people to go to the book sale. So what I do, I volunteer my time and I really enjoy it. So I got books, and I know that we've spent a lot of time here, so I won't get crazy, but I got books for everyone up here on the dais, which is super exciting. So listen, you guys can go there, get gifts. And anyway, so this one, actually, the first book was for John Antonides, who is not here. I thought John would stay for the whole meeting. So you guys can give this to him. I got the Book of Unusual Knowledge. And the reason I got this is because John Antonides I'm sure a lot of you out there don't know him, but there are those of you who've been here for years. John Antonides knows he's one of the best CFOs in the state. I'm not saying anything.
The best in the state.
Thank you, the best. So I can't say it like the best only because I happen to work with his brother Bill in a neighboring town. So the Antonides have a long line of wonderful CFOs. He always seems to know everything. So I thought this book of unusual knowledge would be great for John. So you can pass it along to him. And I wrote notes in it. I'm not going to read what I wrote to John, but that's for John. Mindfulness. This is for Trina, our clerk. So the reason I did this is because Trina is somebody I truly admire for her perspective on things. She has a very positive, light, airy look, and I thought mindfulness was a great one for you. So let's pass that down to Trina.
Thank you.
The other book I got here was Chicken Soup for the Mother and Daughter Soul. I got this for our administrator because for some reason, when I saw this, mother and daughter, I thought of you because you have such a wonderful relationship with your daughter that I think exudes itself amongst all of us. So I did that, and I put a little note in there for you as well.
Thank you so much.
See, aren't you guys upset? Don't worry. There's going to be another one coming soon. Don't worry. The next one was Perfectly Yourself, Discovering God's Dream for You. This one is for Committeewoman Fitzpatrick. I know that faith is very important to you. I picked this because it kind of summed up what I think of you. You are real. You are very clear, and we all always know what you stand, and I really truly believe that you have so much to offer, and it's been a pleasure to serve alongside you. So that is for you.
Thank you, Tara.
America.
Oh, I wonder who that's for.
This is, no. This is actually a Citizen's Guide to Democracy in Action. This is actually a entertaining, funny book that I got for our newest committeeman, Bezetta. Looking at the entertainment, you've kind of come into this, you've come in listening. I know, it's funny. Jon Stewart's very funny. I agree with you. And I wanted to kind of give a little bit of taste of America and some amusement for you, because maybe you need a little laughter.
Thank you.
The New York Times, Century of Business. Our finance chair, Committeeman Viola, well, Deputy Mayor now, I apologize. I always feel like you have imparted great wisdom in me with business, finance, a lot of information. So I got that for you because now that you're retired, you can use that as your coffee table book.
You got him a nice dry read.
A nice dry read.
He'll probably enjoy it thoroughly.
Electrifying.
The Civil War, I think we can all figure out who that's for. Although that would have been appropriate based upon your family history. But we go back. So I got the Civil War for our own historian, Frank Rizzuto. Honestly, I could have found like 20 books for you with history. So thank you for always informing us and giving us the history on stuff. So
Thank you. And my son will enjoy this. He just joined the local Civil War reenacting group, the 14th New
See?
Jersey.
even better.
Oh, no, it's the 4th New Jersey Regiment. 4th New Jersey Regiment. So he's got the full uniform and black powder rifle and percussion caps. And I think we're going out shooting the Civil War era rifle tomorrow. So thank you. I'll enjoy this.
Excellent. And last but not least, girl, Stop apologizing.
That's amazing.
This is for,
That's me.
this is for our own attorney, Megan Bennett. You're a wonderful, intelligent, smart, funny, enlightened, professional, and you should never apologize for that. And I thought you needed some laughter, so that is for you.
Good job.
I have to say, I love that. I love that book. So anyway,
you,
a huge
Mayor.
congratulations to the Friends of the Library for doing a wonderful book sale. I'm waiting to get the numbers from them, but it was busy. There was a lot of people
Very well
there.
attended.
Very well attended. I know I saw many of you there. So that is all I have for updates. Comments from the public. Procedure for public comment. This is.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to touch on Mr. O'Brien's question of how many people we
Yes,
had.
Thank you. I had that written down to say.
So last week, the first week, it was 10. And if you do look in the corner of the TV, the little people sign on that TV will tell you. So right now we have 20.
Thank you, Trina, for reminding me.
And we're
since I
going for
left-
100,000 views, so
I
let's
left my
make it
notes at
entertaining.
home. And I did want to just mention that even when it's live streamed and the recording is up there, you can actually go on to previous recordings and see the number viewed.
Right.
It doesn't
And
tell you who watched the entire
It
thing.
fluctuates throughout
but-
the meeting.
Yeah, but you'll see the numbers viewed. So even if people just get on for a minute. Thank you. The Colts Township Committee welcomes comments from members of the public. Raise your hand if you're interested in being heard. Once recognized, identify yourself clearly, stating your name and address for the record. Your comments will be limited to 4 minutes. And once you have finished speaking or your 4 minutes is up, the Township Committee will respond accordingly. Motion to open to public comment.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. O'Brien.
Kevin O'Brien, 18 enclosure. During the last meeting, Mr. Rizzuto shared the only reason affordable housing is getting so much attention is due to a campaign being run. I spoke at the January 2025 meeting, as did many others. At the 2024 affordable housing meeting, then Mayor Rizzuto violated my First Amendment right when he did not like what I had to say and gavelled me out, despite stating there would be no time limit on each person's right to speak. Your adverse action was taken as a direct result of my right of expression. I, along with other residents, including Ms. Kakulo, attended the Superior Court proceedings in Freehold. Unlike you, Mr. Rizzuto, Superior Court Justice Grasso Jones and the Fair Housing Committee welcomed my comments. Affordable housing is more than an election topic. It can impact our water, it can impact our schools, increase taxes, and is projected to generate 867,000 traffic trips a year across from the high school, which was completely blown away or ignored by Mr. Rizzuto when he was mayor in 2024. I've asked 3 times if there'll be another town meeting on affordable housing before the January 30 mandated response, or will the committee just keep us in the dark? There's been no response. 3 times I'm asking. Mr. Bezzetta, thank you so much for the chart or the board that you had up here. 101 affordable housing units for round 4 and 138 for round 3 is 239. Yet the flyer that I got in my mailbox today, extended by Mr. Rizzuto, talks about 306 and 101. So if you're wondering why residents get concerned and we don't know what the truth is when we get one set of facts from one committee member and we get something from somebody else. The 239 came from Beth McManus, so I'm very comfortable, and Mr. and Fusco, so I'm very comfortable with that number. Ms. Fitzpatrick was quoted in Two Rivers Times. There are ways that you can meet the affordable housing obligation without necessarily having to do new construction. So I'm just curious, and I'm hoping Ms. Fitzpatrick, and only Ms. Fitzpatrick, could share with us, like we're in 6th grade, how 239 mandated affordable housing units can be met without having to do new construction. The state law, when you talked about seniors, requires 50% of it to be new construction. So I'm just curious, how can we accommodate 239 units without building? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. I think Mr. Viola had mentioned we will be,
One other question. There was the League of Women's Voters had talked about a debate. I'm an independent, so I'm just curious. I saw online that Mr. Tobias had agreed to accept the invitation. I just was curious as Ms. Fitzpatrick agreed to accept. And if so, when will that be and would it be open to the public? Thank you.
Your phone.
Thank-
Mr. O'Brien, your phone.
I still have 40 seconds.
appreciate your question. Just from a political standpoint, we're here to conduct town business, not discuss political stuff like
Candidate debates.
candidate debates. Thank you. Mr. Viola, you said something about there will be a hearing.
It is the intention of the planning board to have the housing element and fair share plan on their agenda for June 9th. Not the 10th. The 10th is the primary. It's been moved to Monday, the 9th, the day before.
But is that a town meeting?
That's the planning board. Our meeting is the 11th.
Is there another town meeting like we had on January 14th is what I was asking?
We will review the planner will be here in the governing body meeting on the 11th. Beth McManus will be here to present it on June 11th. Here.
And Mayor, if I
Yes.
may, I do believe the incident you're talking about at the public hearing, I think if I'm not mistaken, you did bring that up to several investigative bodies. And I think the outcome of those investigations were they saw no merit in them. So it wasn't for lack of trying with the different bodies you went to lodge that complaint. And I think they were thoroughly investigated, or at least they were not entertained as far as I remember.
I believe what you're referring to is as that there was a complaint that was filed with the ACLU in connection with that, and the ACLU did not move forward with that complaint. I believe what Mr. Rizzuto is speaking of is the complaint that you filed with the ACLU in connection with that matter, and the ACLU did not take that complaint to the next level.
And that's their option.
Correct.
I still have my option, should I wish to proceed with that as an individual.
Of course.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
Yeah, regarding the number in that mailer that went out, that was the round 3 obligation. The numbers that were reviewed was the 138 is unfulfilled obligation from round 3.
Thank you for clarifying. Mr.
Thank you, Mr.
Sato?
O'Brien.
First, let me start off. Thank you, Councilman, Committeeman Bizzuto, for that explanation. It helped me a lot. I think it probably helped other people too. So I just want to start off.
Can you state your name, please?
Oh, Bob Sako, 4 Sycamore Place. I wanted to correct something said at the last meeting about my working with the Colts Neck PD. You had made the comment, and my interpretation of your comment anyway, was that I have been working with Lieutenant Mayor. No, I haven't. Lieutenant Mayor called me about 6 weeks ago, and he said, I'll call you next week and we'll get together. That didn't occur. He called me 3 weeks ago and said the same thing. That did not occur. Now, I just want to be clear. I am not complaining about Lieutenant Mayor. I just want to set the record straight. We've not worked together. And this was about the speed limits. I know Todd Mayer from my time on the Wildlife Committee. And I'm assuming as lieutenant, he has higher priorities right now. So I just want to set the record straight that haven't had a meeting with him yet. Okay, talking about speed limits. I think the town should address the proliferation of electric bikes. Too often I see kids riding their bikes at full throttle, and I did a little homework on that. They can go as fast as 30 miles an hour. And that should exceed the speed limit on the smaller residential roads. They always ignore stop signs. They race, basically. They frequently are wearing earphones. So my wife and I were just talking about this. We're driving down Hires Mill, which is a dangerous road, and they've got these things on, and they can't hear, and they're on our side of the road, so they can't see us. So I think electric bikes are a type of motorcycles. Gulf's Neck needs to address that with, when you have young drivers like this, they can be a safety hazard. And it gives me anxiety when I'm coming up on them and they just don't realize it. So next thing, back to stop signs. I sent you all an email. Thank you, Mayor. You you found it interesting, reading over breakfast, I guess. I want to emphasize I'm not against all stop signs. I think, though, that there are some that decrease safety. And I've gone into the reasons for that before, and I'm not going to rehash all of that. But I want to make another suggestion before proceeding with installing any more stop signs. The town can go to an engineering firm and ask their opinion to evaluate where you're going to put these 122 stop signs. I mean, my understanding is you're spending about $10,000 on a public relations firm. So maybe a few $1,000s to have a professional come out. And then it'll shut me up if he says, you know, they're all appropriate. Two other things. One, I went to the town recycle center to recycle some stuff, paper, and I saw the street sweeper there. It looked like it was rusting. I mean, I've only seen that on the road once in the last, I don't know, 10 years. What's happening with that? And during the budget meeting, or I think it was Mr. Viola was talking about converting existing houses to affordable. That's a great idea, but what does the town have to pay? I mean, do we have to purchase those homes from the current owners? Is that how it works? Or can you explain how that would work for us? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take that last question first.
Sure.
It depends. Everything, it depends. It depends on the motivation of the owners of the units to go from market rate to affordable. There could be an exchange of capital involved to pay down the difference, but that is up to each individual. It's still an individual contract. Secondly, about the electric bikes, yeah, I've seen them fly up Tulip and on Maple and no helmet, even they're supposed to have a helmet and no earphones. But I think if we were to do anything, wouldn't it preempt state law?
No, it would not. In fact, I just did need bike ordinance for another borough that I work in. There are municipalities that are doing ordinances that are not preempted by the state law that you can make it safety. So if you want me to, I can send the ordinance I just worked on and I'm sorry, and multiple ordinances to see if you guys want to look at them to.
Yeah, maybe that should go to long range.
Certainly can. I'll send them to Trina and Kathleen, and you can see what you want to do.
And I'll also talk to the chief and make sure that, you know, I agree with you. It is unsafe.
Typically, what typically this ordinance it came from the chief of police requesting it because he had seen that other town had seen there were issues.
Gotcha.
I can see that, yeah, you have a resident says it, and if you guys feel it.
Oh, it's a fact. It's a fact.
So, yeah, but it would typically come from the chief.
Thank you.
Yes, and I just want to say that I have received a few feedback. I've never seen it personally myself, but I know that there's been issues in a variety of towns, and a few people had mentioned something to me.
It
So
was the hot Christmas present this year.
So I appreciate that.
Mr. Seiko, I've spoken with Lieutenant Mayor. I know he wants to meet with you, so I'll make sure that he contacts you and that the two of you speak, because I think it's important. I think he has, you know, some information that he'd like to share with you. I know he wants to hear your information, so I think that's a meeting that should happen, and I'm going to make sure that happens. Thank you.
And regarding the street sweeper, it has been operational, but we do evaluate whether or not the cost to operate it on our own versus the cost of a shared service with, say, Monmouth County. We will do the buy versus build analysis to determine which is most cost effective.
Yes, and I also just wanted to state for the record about the, when we're looking at extending affordability controls or, you know, kind of converting a market rate to affordable, that is, we are authorized to use our affordable housing trust funds, which is not taxpayer money. It is in our affordable housing trust, which is paid by developer fees and those kinds. So I just wanted to state that that's something that we can use the Affordable Housing Trust funds for, something that was spoken about in that meeting that I went to. Ms. Mann? Did you, I thought you had your hand up. And I apologize, I call you Ms. Mann.
34 Colts Neck. I'm really puzzled why this committee has not looked into legislatures in Trenton who are opposed to affordable housing, and they are writing amendments to the bills that are now. That's the only way you're going to solve this, is if you get together like we all did when Earl had the houses up there, and we stopped the houses, and it was called No. Neighbors opposed to the privatization of Earl. And it didn't take that much time or energy, and it was done. There are several legislatures down there that want to write amendments to this law, and that's the only way you're going to change it. In your opinion, was it a wise choice to take away the tanker from Firehouse number 2? You took the tanker and separated the water tank, leaving it dismantled. The trailer was driven to the DPW and placed behind the roll-ups. That fire truck was maintained at all times. Mr. Secudis, Nicky, used to take it down to his place down there, and if there needed any major repairs, they used to do it for nothing. It was used for firefighting first, and secondly, pool fills. Fire company number 2 maintained it. They used it for pool fills, and they paid for the water and gas and bought in a minimum of $50,000 per year to use for other things that were in the firehouse. Our residents are still asking about the pool fills. The DeAngelis property again. I see we spent another $884. I was told we were getting the grant. What happened?
We received the grant for $326,000.
Okay, we not only have issues of public purse, but we have issues of government trust.
Thank you, Mrs. Mann.
We have been following the amendments, and we are in the process of considering, Mrs. Mann, we have been considering the amendments that some in the legislature, primarily the Assembly, have put forth, or at least trying to get through committee, and we will be adopting resolutions in support of some of those amendments. So thank you for that.
And once again, Ms. Mann, and this is just a fact, and I don't know how many times I have to reiterate this. That tanker was out of service when it was decommissioned. It was not an active piece of firefighting equipment. It wasn't inspected. It was a liability issue at the time. It was past its service life. It couldn't have passed inspection to be an active piece of fire apparatus if it wanted to, so to speak. And it was taken out of service. So that's as plain as I can put it. I know the characterization will be that we took an active piece of firefighting equipment away from the people of Colts Neck, which is not really what happened. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public?
Good evening. My name is Anthony Orsino. I basically had this question in my mind, which was probably half answered right now from the previous party. On the process, I'm trying to understand the process. Maybe everybody else does here. From affordability homes to market homes to affordability homes. Is this a one-to-one unit? How could a citizen help if there's my thought is, I guess, if there's multiple units in Colts Neck with many condos, such as ownership, are those part of the process that could be? I'm trying to really get. Can you pretty much explain a little bit more in details? How does that happen?
Yeah. I don't think we want to get into details yet in terms of who we're negotiating with, but essentially we are in negotiations with a third party for units that exist within the boundaries of Colts Neck,
right,
that are currently not affordable but not slated as affordable housing.
Right.
And we're in discussions with them to convert those to affordable housing. It could be a significant number of units if we're successful in this, which will reduce the overall obligation that we have. We're in active negotiations with that party.
Yeah, that's good to know. I was wondering, I mean, if it's just a dream or if it's a possibility based on the amount of units that's needed to.
I don't have a crystal ball.
Right, I understand.
And I'm not in the business of predicting the future. But I think I can confidently say that there is a very real possibility that this could happen.
Okay.
And we will report on it every step of the way. And I said, again, hopefully within a short period of time, within the next couple of months, we'll have something to report on that.
And again, thanks for bringing it up tonight and putting your time into it.
Mr. Orsino, there are, in the new legislation in round 4 from July 1 of 2025 to June 30, 2035, that's the next round where the 101 is assigned to Colts Neck. In that legislation, there were several incentives that they put in place, and one of those was converting market rate to affordables. You could potentially get a 50% bonus. So if you take 10 units that are market rate and you convert them to affordable, you might be able to attain 15 credits against your 101. It's similar to prolonging or extending the affordability controls in the rental units and owner-occupied units at the Grand. That term is ended because it began in 94, 95. That 30-year period is ending. There is people who live in those units that are affordable housing qualified. If they're not maintained affordable housing qualified, there will be an issue at some point in time with their ability to lease the property. If in fact an owner wants to convert from affordable to market rate, going the other direction. So there are incentives in this new round of legislation that are targeting market rate to affordable and extending affordability controls. And those are advantageous to Colts Neck.
Thanks for explaining it. That's for round 4, I guess.
Yes, correct.
Thank
Good
you.
question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, I'm glad you're so happy. Marianne Kuklo, 67 Blackbriar. I just have a clarification question. We're talking about market rate going to affordable. Are we talking about the units that are now technically market rate because we allowed them to be sold at $90,000 a unit below market rate to someone, and now we're going to buy them back?
No. No. The units we're talking about that are market to affordable are not at the Grand. I know you're referring to the Grand. I can't tell you where. I wish I could. But we're not talking about those units. As far as allowing those units to be sold, I think someone else
Well, we
could
had a
address
right
that.
of first refusal, which we didn't take. They were sold for $90,000 a unit, which is 1/4 of what they were worth. And we lost $2.5 million because we were supposed to get 50% of the profit when they were sold. So that's a big problem to me.
That's not entirely correct. They're only entitled to the 50% recapture after the period, which would be July 1st. So those were bought last year within the period, so they still have the market controls in place.
So if the people who are now asked to get contracts, the contracts that are coming out to the people in the grant, there's a right of first refusal in those contracts. Why wasn't the right of first refusal exercised for the 22 units that were being sold at 1/4 of market value?
Again, I'll explain it. We do have the right of first refusal because we have the recapture ordinance. So what the public, we're talking about a new concept, recapture ordinance. So when the units at the Grand were built, there were 66 owner-occupied units. Those were individual units that the buyers were qualified for affordable housing. Those were owner-occupied affordable units. There were 22 renter-occupied affordable units, okay? Those controls are in place from 1995 to 2025 during that period. We are negotiating across the spectrum. That's all I'm going to say.
Just so that the 22 units that were sold, there was no recapture on those because they were sold prior
During the round.
to the expiration of the controls. The recapture only comes into play after expiration. So simple, if those units expire in 25 and 26 and the owner tries to sell them now, the town not only has a right of first refusal, but we have the right of recapture 50% of the profit. There's more details to it, but I'm not going to get into it. But because that sale occurred prior to the 30-year expiring, the town was not able to recapture the profit.
I think,
Correct?
I just want to just state here, I think what Ms. Kukalo thinks is that we lost out on recapture. The reality is the controls have not expired yet. Just like anybody who is in an affordable owner-occupied unit right now can sell that unit. We cannot tell people you can't sell your unit. They have to sell it, and those affordability controls go to the new owner, as the 22 units did. That's why they were able to purchase them at the price that they purchased. They transferred over with the affordability controls, okay? Just like any of those other 66 owners that are in affordable units now can do. They can sell their property and they don't have to ask permission of the town. Now, when these expire, that's a different, that's different, okay? There's a lot more to it with affordable housing, but at this point, there is no loss of recapture. So just to be clear.
No.
So we, again, just,
During the period.
it's during the period. We, just like there are people who sell properties with the affordability controls, people sell properties in the unit, in the grand, okay? The town does not have the right to step in and say, we're going to buy that, okay? It's only after the affordability controls expire and someone is trying to sell it at a market rate. Then we have the right of first refusal.
Right, so the recapture is 50% of the profit, so they buy it for 100,000, they sell it for 200,000, 50,000 needs to come back to the township and put into the developer's trust. It does not go into the general fund for the taxpayers. It goes into future affordable housing.
So, Ms. Kukla, are you clear on that? Because I don't know that you were listening, you were talking. Okay. Thank you.
I'm just wondering, just off the top of my head, because I know the contract, the number in the contract that's going out to these people is slightly less than what this man paid per unit. He paid 90 a unit for 22 units.
I'm sorry, Marianne, if you're going to speak, you have to come up to the microphone
Yeah,
for the
and-
live
For
stream.
me to keep track of timing.
Thank you.
as well.
Yeah.
It's just that we allow these units to be sold for $90,000 a piece, which is way below market value. I don't know if we could have stopped it, but now we're going to trying to get them back or get other units back for a good amount of money. It just seems that there's something here that we could have done that was more fiscally.
And we're here to tell you respectfully, there wasn't, right? An owner has the right to sell their property to whomever they want.
So the-
Just as you do.
Within the 30 years, just like you
Right.
could sell your home and I can sell mine. The township's rights come into play after the 30 years expires, not before. I want to be
The only
clear.
thing I'd like to make clear,
Yeah,
though,
please.
is if the seller is selling when the affordable
Are in
ability
place.
is in place, they can only sell pursuant to those affordability controls.
Right.
Which is why you're seeing that 90,000, that reduced rate. What they sold pursuant to the affordable housing.
Right, it's supposed to be a certain percentage of what he paid for them originally, which is basic.
We don't have any rights until the affordable mandates are expired. Once they expire, that's why we would be in negotiation now, because we can see that happening. So that is when our rights start.
Basically, there's a deed restriction on each unit.
Yes, for 30 years.
For 30 years, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
Hi, I'm Lauren Franco Lucas from 18 Raven Road.
I'm sorry, can you spell your last name?
Sure, Franco, Franco, Lucas, Lucas, from Raven Road. I just have a question. I'm having a hard time finding the information in regards to the Amphidrome for the Colts Neck Manor. Where do we have any final results from what the DEP, the testing, was doing? I believe that they needed extra testing, some sort of New Jersey testing for the Amphidrome to clarify that the Amphidrome was going to be sufficient and be able to function for the amount of people. And, where are the results for the final testing of the systems, and where can we look at it? I've been searching, I can't find it. So I didn't know if you knew.
Well, our environmental attorney from our affordable housing firm is working with the DEP on that
Okay.
data, and we actually have to Oprah the DEP to get the data.
Okay, because, I just want to make sure that that's all finalized and that we
Yeah, I mean, we
are
just discussed it
comfortable
earlier this week.
Yeah,
knowing that
no,
that
I
system
could-
is not going to fail.
We just spoke with the environmental attorney earlier this week. The request has been made, is being made. As soon as we have those results, we'll share them.
Okay, my concern is once they're still building there and those results aren't in, and what if it isn't sufficient?
But
I share the concern.
A concern of mine is, if it does fail, and I feel when it's going to fail, not if it does, but when, that's just my opinion. They're not going to kick people out. It's going to have to be fixed. And, is it going to go to the state? Is it going to go to federal? Is it going to go to us? And then that opens up the sewer to that area. And then what stops the sewer from going down 537 and every other farmer decide to sell their land and open up? And then we have other problems. And then, when we talk about our taxes and our taxes are going up, we're all upset about this. We work very hard to live in this town, and we work, everything is rising and it's getting expensive. And, if a sewer comes down, then we have to think, okay, well, lights have to be installed because they're going to need, sewers, lights, that's going to cause a lot of tax money to be paid for in the town too, if that happens. And it just concerns me, this direction of the Amphidrome, and if it fails, how it's going to affect our whole town and where the town will go. And I just hope that that's a thought, because our budget is a big concern for all of us. And every year, when we have 1,000 more people, 750 units come, all these units coming, 350 units, how many more people are going to be dipping into the needs from our town? And that's going to be, again, increasing the cost of taxes that we feel, that we see, because,
We do
we're not
too.
in affordable units.
We do too. We do.
So-
I share the concern. We do too.
Yeah.
Two things, Mrs. Lucas, Franco Lucas. First is the developer did apply to MRSA for entry into MRSA and was denied. And they actually launched a lawsuit that we were then cross-named as a third party by MRSA. That
Okay.
suit went on for 3.5 years, and it settled with the parties going their separate ways without Kushner being able to tie into Manasquan River Regional Sewerage Authority. It's the authority that is on the west side of town that actually supports the grant. And they did agree in the litigation to allow Charleston Meadows, the 68 units, to hook up to water and sewage. The southwesternmost property in the township, it borders Freehold, Howell, and Colts Neck, was zoned for affordable housing many years ago. It wasn't ever developed because it was kept in a family. The family moved into an estate. It was sold to the developer, but they do have public services tied up. Kushner did not. They were denied. And that's where they found the Amplidrome system.
And so just to kind of follow up on your concern, as we all have had tremendous amount of tax increases as well due to assessments, which is the good news, right? All of our homes are worth a lot of money. We are working with our environmental attorney to keep track on the Amphidrome system. The one thing I will say is there are planning board documents that are in existence where they kind of presented some of that on the Amphidrome system. If it fails, and I think for most people in here have septic systems and wells, I don't disagree with you. It's a matter of when. So as several friends of mine have had septic system failures, and they literally have had sewage in their homes, that is something that the owner of that property, Kushner, is responsible for. As far as MRSA, they weren't able to accommodate sewer. They don't have the capacity. Gordon's Corner Water is allowing water in, which is great. We don't have wells being tapped into in that area. But from the standpoint of sewer, they did not have the capacity to bring sewers in. So with that being said, right now, yes, I think we all have the same concerns about systems, the septic. We're very involved. We have our health officer involved. We are in contact with our environmental attorneys. But yeah, we're definitely, and whenever we have more information on that, we will certainly pass that along.
Okay, and I have one more question in regards to that. So let's just say the system does fail. It's going to cost, I have family members in the business, and it's going to cost probably $500,000 to have those amphidromes pumped out and sent out to be, taken care of. Is there some sort of insurance policy that for a certain amount of years, a Kushner's going to be responsible for this? Like, what if he sells the property, or what if something happens? Like, how long is he going to be responsible to fix this mess if it occurs?
You are at your 4 minutes.
Okay.
So I can answer. I'm going to start with the last one first. Actually, I'll start with the second to last one first. There's no reality where the township will be on the hook for any catastrophic relocation costs, nothing. There's no reality where that would happen. The owner of that property was responsible. He also has to have a water treatment permit to run that system, and that is constantly monitored, and he has to put up assurances to with a licensed operator to run that septic system. So it's constantly being monitored, and the state is very strict on monitoring those systems. Having said that, I could appreciate your exposure. We have litigated, as Mr. Viola has told you, very diligently on just the point you mentioned. Bringing a sewer line into town is a very big deal. They tried to do it through Hockoxen. They tried to do it up from the Earl. They tried to do it up here to this new development. Through very intensive negotiations and litigation, a combination of both. That is not happening. None of them are happening. And I think if there's a takeaway to this meeting on the success of our affordable housing obligation, on mitigating that obligation, and I think I can hang my hat just on that one accomplishment alone. 3 locations. They were persuaded that it was not cost beneficial to them to do so, and they all went away. That wasn't an accident. And that's all I have to say. Well, thank you for your questions, because the more you read about it, the more you're going to understand our strategy. So I encourage everyone to get out there. Don't believe the stuff you're seeing on the internet with the graphs with no, point of reference or anything, just flashes. Read the facts, look them up. They're all here. None of this is a mystery. We've been very, very clear. We've had huge town hall meetings, hundreds of people that went on for hours. I unfortunately hosted most of them, or fortunately, because I have a lot of stamina. But none of this has ever been a secret. Like I said, this is something that affects everybody. And depending on where you get in on this is how mad you are, right? Because your first phase is there's no way the state can make a municipality do this. Well, there is, and they do. And once you're past that, I says like the stages of grieving, right? Denial, anger, acceptance. When you're negotiating something as difficult as this, it is very convenient for a politician, especially in a conservative town, to say, I'm going to fight this until they pry it from my cold, dead hand, right? And then everyone will get riled up and say, vote for Frank, right? But the problem is they will pry it from your cold, dead hand. And when they do, they make an example after town, after town, after town, after town. Huge numbers, huge numbers. Numbers very unlike the ones you just saw on that chart. Very unlike the numbers you just saw on that chart. And I'll put my numbers up against any surrounding town. Any surrounding town. I defy a town that had as many interveners as we did, who mitigated their affordable housing obligation as skillfully as we have. And I know I might sound like I'm bragging a little bit, but there's been a lot of rhetoric around this issue. So please dig into the numbers, come and find out. None of this is a mystery. Some of it's in litigation and some of it will tell you, look, this is actively in litigation and we can't discuss it. But having been the one who conducted these meetings, I've been have a front row seat to this, and I'll discuss it with anyone, anytime, anywhere, because the truth and the facts are on the committee side of the issue. So we fear no man, no woman, nothing. We're doing very well in our obligation. So I apologize for pontificating. Thank you.
I think I have my next book that I'm going to get at the next library fair, The Stages of Grief. Anybody else from the public? Seeing no more hands, can I get a motion to close public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next Township Committee meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And Mr. Orsino, if you want to talk about how to convert your market rate apartment to affordable, your house, we'll be happy to talk to you about that.